A 40-hour work week year-round. And their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Load up on meat and more this winter at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Havelock. This week's special through March 5th is fresh cut chuck roast for just $5.99 per pound and 29% off all soap and skincare products. And don't forget about lunch on Fired Up Friday from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Locations at 84th and Havelock and 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln, or at 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
You never think cancer will happen to you. I smoked for over 40 years. My doctor recommended that I get annual lung cancer screening. They were able to catch my cancer at stage 1. It's never too late to quit. Even if you're still smoking, you need to ask your doctor about annual lung cancer screening. Just 30 minutes a year could save your life.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them?
By their clothes?
Their age?
The way they speak?
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
The Mill Coffee and Tea, formerly with only 4 Lincoln locations. Guess what?
What?
There's 5 Lincoln locations now. Oh my gosh. That's 25% more Lincoln locations than there used to be. Can you even imagine a world where there's only 4 Lincoln Mill locations? Feels like ages ago. We were all so young then. The Mill on 11th, located right alongside 93.7 The Ticket Studios, 1040 O Street.
Hi, it's Joel Norman, the voice of your Lincoln Stars hockey team. Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. to hear the latest on the Stars with myself, head coach Rocky Russo, and special player guests.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is Sunday Rewind.
Take it back now, y'all.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Now, here are your hosts, Tom Stevens and Mike Melby.
Welcome in, Tom Stevens, Mike Melby, Husker Rewind every Sunday, 5 to 7. We're on the air. Nebraska basketball about to tip off in 31 minutes from now. Nebraska versus Rutgers. Of course, Rutgers won the first meeting earlier this year in overtime. Nebraska really dominated that game, had a 10-point lead late in the second half. I think actually a 12-point lead late in the second half with about 7 minutes left to go. Unable to pull it off, but they get a second chance at home where they've only lost one game this year. I think 17, 18, and 1 this year, Mike. Played really good basketball at home.
Tied for the most wins in school history at home. And I do believe that we've got a pretty cool guest.
Yeah, Husker Hall of Famer Bo Reed on the phone. How you doing, Bo?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Good. I know you were in town, or I think you were in town at least when Danny Nee was back. How was that reunion?
It was really good. I saw a number of people I hadn't seen in probably 25, 30 years. Eric Johnson and Rodney Curtis and really great people. It was fun.
We're asked all the time about the best teams in Nebraska basketball history. That 90-91 team, the best I've ever seen. Is it the best team you've ever been a part of?
Yeah, that was the best team I've ever been on, for sure. It was a lot of fun. I wish we would have had more than 1 year together. I think nowadays there would have been a number of guys get extra years due to injury or academic stuff that happened back then. But, we made the most of that 1 year we had together.
Well, one thing I've always wanted to ask you, the first time I've ever had an opportunity to speak with you, Bo Reed, by the way, joining us on the Allo VIP line, exceptional service with local heart is Allo Fiber. I was in the building. I was up near the top, but I was pretty much directly in line from where you took the three that beat Michigan State. Literally, the when it left your hand and went in.
Were they ranked second?
They were number 3 in the country. But what was that moment like for you? I mean, obviously you're a younger player and young man, and just what was it like being able to be the one that hit the game-winning shot against the number 3 team in the country?
Well, coming out of the timeout, actually before we went to the timeout was kind of a surreal moment. Coach and he called timeout. We got the ball. We're down 1, and he meets us out on the basketball court. He wasn't over by the bench, and he just had this big goofy grin on his face, and we're all looking at him like, what? And he said, I told you, look around. I told you guys were going to play in games like this when you came here. He said, this is fun, isn't it? This is what it's supposed to be. He goes, now listen to me, we're going to win this effing game. And so he got in the huddle, and he said, what are we running? And it was kind of cool because people like Caprice Owens and Carl Hayes, and they were like, let's run BC. And, Caprice get that ball back to Bo, and it kind of builds your confidence up when guys believe in you and they say, give it to him. And so we ran the play, and I threw the ball to Tony, and he kind of lost his balance, and he threw it back to me. And, we had run that play my whole career, and no one ever guarded the guy taking the ball out on a side out of bounds play. They protected King in the post, and then they went to double team Farmer in the corner, and he was able to get the ball back to me. And as the ball was coming to me, everything just kind of went into super slow motion. It slowed down, and I jumped up. I released the ball, and it felt like it took forever to get there. I remember once I let go of the ball, it took so long to get there, I felt like I must be short. And then I saw it go through, and after the ball went through, I turned, and then all of a sudden it went from dead silent, super slow motion to excruciatingly loud, like the loudest noise that I've ever heard. And it was unbelievable. And then running off the floor, Steve Smith gives me a fist bump and kind of smiled. And I'd had a blast playing against him that night. He was one of the most fun guys I ever played against in my life. He's such a great player, but he talked trash in kind of a fun way. And we had a little back and forth during the game, and it was a really cool moment. And it's fun to have a moment like that where you remember it the rest of your life. I was lucky enough to have a couple of those because I made that shot against KU too as a freshman. And it's just one of those things you just never forget as long as you live.
Yeah, that was an amazing moment. I want to say that Michigan State was ranked 3rd in the country. Steve Smith with a first-round draft pick. That was one of the many great wins that Nebraska had. You mentioned the Kansas game. Was that Danny and the Miracles? Was that the game that you hit that shot? Yeah.
Yeah, they changed their entire starting lineup after that game because they had missed a bunch of free throws and made a bunch of turnovers down the stretch that even allowed us back into the game. But that Michigan State team had 3 NBA players on it. In addition to Smith, they had Matt Staginga, who was a really good wing, and then they had a big guy named Mike Teplowski that was really good. And then they had a couple really good guards, too, point guard. So that was a high-level basketball game. I think there was 9 or 10 lead changes, and just it was never more than 4 points one way or the other. It was really good. It was a fun game to play in.
We've got to get to current day, but I'm gonna kick myself if I don't ask you really quick. How fun was it to play against Billy Tubbs' coach teams?
That was a blast. He said the craziest stuff. I mean, all of the coaches in the Big 8 back then were a blast. I mean, Johnny Orr was hilarious at Iowa State. Norm Stewart, I love. Billy Tubbs was just unbelievable. He was so cocky, but it was perfect for who they were. And, he was great. He was great. It was fun to beat him my senior year 3 times. He was great. We beat them on their home floor and had ever won down there. We waxed them pretty good. We beat them by 20. And I remember the newspaper basically interviewed him, and he said, "Hey, listen, we just got our butts kicked by a way better basketball team. That's what just happened here." Because they were higher ranked than us when we went down there. They were ranked like 11th, and we were like 14th at the time, and we thumped them.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun.
I hate to keep reminiscing because I want to get to today as well. But I think back to that team, some of those teams were amazing. The 1991 team with Tony Farmer and Rich King and yourself and, Carl Hayes and on and on and on. Who was the best player on that team? Was it Pike? I mean, Pike was pretty young in his career at that time.
Not yet. Pike wasn't the best player yet. He was very good, but he got a lot better. He got a lot more well-rounded as his college career went on. He was pretty one-dimensional at that point. He was a shooter. We brought him off the bench. We would change tempo and go up tempo with Moody at point and Pike and Chubb, and they could really run. They'd get up and down the floor with Farmer. And we would go from being a half-court team to a full-court team in the blink of an eye, and Pike fit that mold great. I would say the best player that year was Rich King. I would say the best overall player probably on sheer talent was probably either Tony Farmer or Carl Hayes. Carl Hayes made it look so easy, people didn't realize how good he was. But Farmer was 6'11", finished on the break like a freight train, could shoot a three-pointer. He was really good. He was really good.
Okay, so a guy who's kind of tall and can knock down three-pointers plays for Nebraska right now, Rink Mast. He kind of got worked against Rutgers in Piscataway. And I'm curious your thoughts on the team this year. What you're seeing is we're getting down to crunch time. March is here. It's getting a little mad. Give me kind of some insight in what you feel you've seen so far and expect from Nebraska.
Yeah, I think as far as Rink goes, really tall, athletic bigs give him trouble. The big guy at Ohio State gave him trouble last week too. The guy that really has to play an important role when they have a big that's that athletic, Josiah has to stay out of foul trouble and give us that physicality down in the paint. He makes a difference when he stays in the game, and he covers for a lot of people defensively. And Rink just plays better when Josiah's in the game. I don't know if you've noticed that, but when Josiah's in the game, Rink rarely has to deal with as much attention from multiple bigs that are taller than him. And Josiah, he bangs around pretty down in there. And at home, it seems like he doesn't get in as much foul trouble as he does on the road. So I'm hoping that he plays a big role tonight and can free Rink up to stretch the floor and do the things that he's good at.
Talking with Nebraska Hall of Famer Bo Reed, and not just that change has happened. They moved Josiah back into the starting lineup as he was coming off the bench. I'd say a couple of months into the season, but now you've got Gary, Josiah, Rink all in there, and Jamarcus has moved to the bench. Bryce has taken over the point guard spot, and it seemed to help the flow of this team. Jamarcus is so much better coming off the bench in my mind. What do you think?
Yeah, I just think Bryce makes better decisions with the basketball than Jamarcus. Jamarcus is really, he's a special kid, first of all, for handling going to the bench the way that he has. A lot of kids would have pouted. He's gotten better. And so I think he's made us win more than a handful of games here down the stretch because he shot the ball so well and played with great tempo. And up until last game, really hadn't caught the turnover bug like he had when he was a starter. But then at Ohio State, he made a couple careless ones, even though he scored 11 straight points at one point. And he's embraced his role tremendously. Bryce Williams, to me, I've said all year long, I'll say it again, we're as good as he makes us. When he's engaged, when he's physical, when he demands the basketball, when he looks for his shot, we're a way better basketball team. He's a big time player. I don't know if he believes he is, but he's the best player on our team, and to me, it's not close.
Well, and from that standpoint, you talk about Jamarcus taking over, or basically going back to the way he finished last season more than taking over anything. His last 3 games, when you look at it from 3-point range, he's 11 out of 14. That's next level. Yeah. And just overall, his play is so much better. You mentioned the turnovers. You played the game. When you get into a rut from a turnover standpoint, where whether your anticipation is wrong, whether a guy doesn't make a right cut, whatever it is it kind of like shooting where all of a sudden they just kind of compound on top of each other and it's super tough to get out of?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it's like anything. You get into habits. When we have those games where we make 14 threes, the next game, if you watch, we tend to make a fair number of turnovers because people are more heavily pressuring the 3-point line, and we're still looking for those shots. I wish we had the presence on the road to really force the issue, drive the ball into the paint, go to the basket, force the other team to foul us and get to the free throw line on the road. But it's hard to do because we don't get the same calls on the road as you get at home in this league, and that's across the whole league. It's not me whining. That's just the way it is in the Big Ten. So when you go into the lane, you have to be strong with the basketball. Jamarcus, to me, is more effective coming off the bench because we play pretty effectively in the half court with Bryce running point and going big. And then when Jamarcus comes in the game, he allows us to change the tempo of the basketball game because he's so fast from end to end with the ball. It's almost like on that 90-91 team when Moody would come in for scales and Pike would come in on the wing and Chubbuck would come in at the 4 and Farmer would move to the 5. And now all of a sudden you've got 5 guys that can really fly up and down the floor. And now all of a sudden you box out and get a rebound and it's a layup at the other end. And the other team has to deal with a different cadence. We're not going to walk it up the floor. We're bringing it at you. And so that's what Jamarcus does for us. He really changed the tempo, opened some things up. Ohio State to score. And when he came in, he changed it because he can go get us easy baskets because he's so fast.
Talking to the Hall of Famer, Bo Reed played for Danny Nee from 88 to 91, some of the best teams in Nebraska basketball history. I remember talking to you early in the Hoiberg era when he was first hired. We thought this was what Hoiberg basketball would look like early on. It's taken 4 years. Why, in your mind, has it taken so long for Fred Hoiberg?
Well, Fred had to learn the Big Ten, I think he was accustomed to the Big 12. It's a more open style of basketball. The Big Ten is very much half court. You have to have big physical inside guys that can bang and can hold their own, finish getting physical contact. They got to finish around the rim, be able to score, get and bang. We had to get the right personnel to play that way. And now that he has the right personnel, now you're starting to see Fred do things to other Big Ten teams. And it all started with Derek Walker last year when Fred it was genius the way he alternated and put a different triangle offense in. Basically, instead of running the triangle from one side of the floor, he ran it from the middle of the floor with Derek Walker at the point. And you had Sam Griesel on the offside with a big 6'6" guard that had a little guy guarding him, could either post up or if he had a big guard on him, he'd go out wide and Derek would run a ball screen. Like, it was a genius offense. And now Rink, in some ways, has stepped into Derek's role. And when Rink is distributing the basketball, he's very much like Derek Walker. So I think because Fred, number one, has depth, we don't have to rely on the same people to do everything every game. Different people step up every night on this team. That's what I love about this team. And then because he has the ability to go into the bench a little bit, and we have the physicality to play in the half court, now on offense, Fred can get really creative. Where we've improved so much is defensively. We had to learn how to play defense in the Big Ten. Our guys wanted to get the ball and go, and you can't get the ball if you can't stop anybody and if you can't rebound. And we got slaughtered on the boards up until this year. And even in the games we play poorly on, we'll give up 10, 12, 15 offensive rebounds. And I still say the barometer for us on whether we win against really good teams is if we give up less than 10 offensive rebounds, we'll win. But I think when we played Rutgers last time, they have 15 offensive rebounds or 16?
Yep.
So we got to keep them off the glass if we want to win this game.
We do. One other player I want to ask you about, and Tom and I were discussing this before we came on the air today. For being a preseason all-conference choice, have you seen anybody that gets fewer calls than Keisei Tominaga, or more called on him for, maybe a light, push off that, the guy's falling back anyway, but his arm kind of extends? Yeah. It just seems like he never really gets a break from officials.
Yeah, I think the thing that makes everyone love Casey is the thing that makes officials not like Casey. He's very demonstrative. He's very emotional. If someone bumps him, he's almost like a soccer player. He flops his arms out and he looks at the ref like, "Come on, are you going to call that?" Like he's constantly being emotional, and our fans love that about him because, man, when he is going and the ball's flying and he's making shots, he ignites the crowd like nobody else. But I think when he's, coming off of a screen and someone bumps into him and he flies off of him 5 feet and falls on the ground or whatever, I just think then the refs, they're not going to give him anything. You know what I mean? So I'd like to see him be a little less emotional and a little more stoic on the floor. And I know that's not who he is, but a little less celebration, a little more business. And I think he would get more calls. I just think because he's loud and he's, out there with his emotions, he also is that way negatively when things are going poorly. And I just think the refs feed off of that. So it's probably not fair because I don't disagree with you. I don't feel like he gets a lot of calls. But I think he's kind of his own worst enemy on that.
I think that's exactly the point. Nebraska's got a tough matchup, maybe defensively today. They lost the first time in overtime. Assuming that they win today, and they're a favorite to win today, and maybe they beat Michigan, or maybe they don't beat Michigan. Maybe they just win one more game. Are they safely in the tournament in your mind?
Someone asked me that today. I think we are. I think the wild card is this. If we get the double bye, I think we're in the tournament. If we don't get the double bye, I feel like we have to win a game then in the Big Ten tournament to be safely in. Otherwise, I think we're on the bubble. And yeah, we have to win this game, and we just can't lay an egg at Michigan. We've got to. If we lose, it's got to be really close. It can't be we get blown out on the road there. We've got to take care of business tonight, and then go on the road with the mentality we have to win that game. I think a win tonight puts us in squarely, but you just don't want to leave it up to the committee because the Big Ten strength of schedule isn't great this year, and you just got to play your way in. Let's just go win. I mean, golly, they win these next 2 games and then they win a game in the tournament. I mean, they're going to have 25 wins. And that's a lot of wins. This team has won a lot of basketball games, and they've got some of their best basketball ahead of them with our depth that we have. We can't make bad turnovers, and then on important possessions, we cannot force shots, and that's what we did against Ohio State. We've got to get good shots when the game gets close. It can't be guys trying to be the hero. It's got to be, let's run our offense, let's get a good look, let's get the ball to the open person, and if someone has to take the ball and go create something, I want that guy to be Bryce Williams. That's the guy I trust with the ball, with the shot clock going down, to go get a shot that matters. That's the guy I want shooting.
One other guy I want to ask you about, because I think he would have fit on that 90-91 team as well as anybody else. Juwan Gary, the way he plays the game with such a controlled, reckless abandon, it's just a joy to watch. And he reminds me of old school 90s Danny Nee teams where it just relentless. What are your thoughts on Juwan? 100%
accurate. We had to learn to play like that. He plays like that naturally, and what I mean by that is when you talk about teams being physical, you can tell teams that aren't physical. Like if you watch Creighton play and somebody's playing physical with them, like St. John's played them the other night, where they're banging cutters and they're just really being a nuisance, like hanging on to you and banging you and bumping you, but they're not using their hands to do it. That's hard to play against, and you can't teach that. You have to learn that. And when guys don't like it, you'll see them use their arms to keep guys off of them and push them. And you never see Juwan Gary use his arms to push anyone. He uses his body. So from that perspective, he's the most physical player we have. Williams can play like that at times, and Rink plays like that at times. But yeah, I love Juwan Gary. He's my second favorite player on the team behind Bryce Williams because he brings it every single night. He brings that intensity, that physicality, and he doesn't have to try to play physical. He just plays physical. And guys like that are invaluable, especially in the Big Ten.
The best team, is this the best team since 91, 92, 94, somewhere in there? Late 90s?
No, I think that the team that won the NIT is probably the most talented team in Nebraska history, honestly. It's up there with our team. And then, Pike's senior year with Derek Chandler and Jamar Johnson, I mean, that team was a great basketball team. It's definitely in the top 5 teams of all time. I got them at their 6th. That team of Vincent Hamilton and Teron Lue, Mikey Moore, those guys are all in the NBA. It's a really good basketball team. I'll give you this, the best team Fred's had, and it's a fun team to watch because they play for each other. They play to win. You don't have guys out there counting points, with the exception of maybe Casey sometimes feels like he needs to get a shot up. The rest of the guys play to win the game. And I love that about this team. They play unselfish. They play hard. They never give up. And they don't do a lot of crying. You don't see a lot of trash talk. These guys just get after you. They play physical. They play the right way. And then they show up and do it, man. And I love that about them. And I think that's why the crowd loves this team so much, because they don't do all the trauma. It's let's get after people. Let's forge our identity in being physical and playing the game to win, not playing for statistics, not playing for the name on the back of the jersey. Let's play for Nebraska. Let's get this team in the NCAA tournament, and let's get our basketball team going the right direction. It's what I thought would happen day one with Fred, but Fred had his own learning curve with the Big Ten. The Big Ten's a different league. It's not the Big 8. It's not the Big 12. It is a big physical league, and he's got the roster now and the depth to handle it.
The Hall of Famer, Bo Reed, we appreciate the time. Did you get on the golf course today?
I did, actually. Yeah, no. It was pretty nice out there.
How you hitting it? Pretty good?
I didn't hit it very good today, but I scored okay. I shot a little 76.
That's not bad. He's a bomber.
Not great, but not bad.
He hits his 7-iron about 200 yards. I mean, it's ridiculous. Appreciate the time, Bo. Would love to have you back sometime.
Yeah, thanks for having me. That was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
That was great. The Hall of Famer, Bo Reed. Haven't talked to him for quite a while. I remember sitting down with him after a round of golf, and we were talking about the hire because it had just happened, Fred Hoiberg, and we both thought home run hire. I mean, this is an automatic home run hire. And I think what he said is what Tom Chattel said to us last week.
Yeah.
It took him a while to figure out the Big Ten. You had to figure out the Big Ten. And I think Tom Chattel said he had a GM, which he kind of did.
Essentially, yeah.
And I think he's figured out not only that part of it, but his coaching staff and the type of player that succeeds at Nebraska. And I think getting older players. Nebraska is the oldest team in the Big Ten. It really helps when he's talking about not having guys pout it, and they don't pout like we've seen other Husker teams. It's maturity is what he's pointing to.
Well, it truly is, and that's the thing. The old adage from I've heard various coaches in various sports make the comment over and over again. The best way to be successful as a coach is have a team that is old and stays old.
Yeah, that you don't have to coach all the time. They don't have to babysit. It's Tom and Mike, and your weekly injury report is brought to you by Friedman Law, your injury attorneys. Out for today's game versus Rutgers remains forward Eli Rice. I don't think we still know what's really wrong with Eli.
I thought it was an ankle. That's what I've heard.
I thought it was an ankle. I haven't heard anything in particular. I'm going to say undisclosed. Also, senior Blaise Keita, the center, has been out pretty much the entire season due to an injury. If you're ever seriously injured, call Friedman Law at 402-476-1093. Friedman Law has been helping injured people for over 60 years. It's all they do. So if you're ever injured or, on the job or in a crash, call Friedman Law or contact them at friedmanlaw.com. Let's get to break. Come back with more. Nebraska basketball about to tip it up versus Rutgers this afternoon. And we'll be back with more after this.
Hi, it's Tom and Mike from Husker Rewind. And did you know that people who are represented by an attorney are often compensated up to 3 times more than someone who is not?
Friedman Law has been helping injured people for over 60 years. It's all they do. If you're ever seriously injured in an accident, call Friedman Law at 402-476-1093.
Friedman Law is a family firm that works hard for Nebraska families just like yours.
So if you're ever injured on the job or in a crash, contact Friedman Law at friedmanlaw.com.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
It's $5.99 barbecue time. Hurry to Hog Wild for a complete barbecue meal that's only $5.99. Get a one-meat sandwich loaded with our award-winning barbecue, plus your choice of a classic side and drink for just $5.99. Upgrade your sandwich to beef brisket for just $1 more. Join us for lunch or dinner in Lincoln at 3210 Cornhusker Highway. Order online at gohogwild.com.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
The Mill Coffee and Tea, formerly with only 4 Lincoln locations. Guess what?
What?
There's 5 Lincoln locations now. Oh my gosh. That's 25% more Lincoln locations than there used to be. Can you even imagine a world where there's only 4 Lincoln Mill locations? Feels like ages ago. We were all so young then. The Mill on 11th, located right alongside 93.7 The Ticket Studios, 1040 O Street.
Ironhide Construction is hiring. They're looking for hardworking, self-motivated individuals who are team players. Ironhide Construction has openings for an experienced project manager, estimator, apprentice, skilled laborer, and erector or installer. They will train the right people and make sure you understand the position and requirements. At Ironhide Construction, it's own it, be honest, and do it right. Apply today and learn more about their other benefits at ironhideconstruction.com, where they're committed to you every step of the way.
Come see the exciting career opportunities in the world of large ag. Acres, your Nebraska John Deere dealer, is hosting a career fair during our 2024 Ag and Turf Expo. Learn about career opportunities in service, sales, parts, and precision ag, as well as other roles in Acres business support team. Join us at the Sandhills Global Event Center March 6th and 7th or Fauner Park March 21st and 22nd. Go to acres.com/expo24 for details.
Here in the heart of the Midwest, the call of the wild meets the passion for conservation. At Nebraska Game and Parks, we're not just preserving nature, we are shaping its future. Work in our state parks or as a biologist, accountant, conservation officer, or a variety of other roles. And come work where you love to play. You can make a difference for Nebraskans and for our state's wildlife and wild places. Apply today at outdoornebraska.gov. Paid for by Nebraska Game and Park. Aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
As the chief buffet officer here at Pizza Ranch, I get all kinds of buffet questions. Here's one from Cole.
Is there a real cactus in your cactus bread?
Great question, Cole. No, there is no cactus in our cactus bread, just sweet cinnamony streusel. It's on our buffet every day, along with pizza, chicken, ice cream, and all your other favorites. Even better, at least for your parents, kids eat free on Tuesday nights. And don't worry, Cole, there's no coal in our coleslaw either.
Pizza Ranch, everyone's favorite buffet.
The countdown is on for the biggest tournament in college basketball. The clock is ticking, and a whopping $1 million is waiting for you. Warhorse Festival of Games is giving you a chance to earn the bragging rights of a lifetime. Oh, and one massive jackpot. Will your bracket beat them all? Here's how it works. Rack up bonus bracket entries by hitting the slots and placing sports and racing wagers starting March 1st at Warhorse Casino. Lock in your winning picks online after the teams are announced March 17th. Then activate your brackets in person at Warhorse Casino Lincoln by the 24th. The best brackets will win prizes each week, and a perfect bracket puts $1 million in your pocket. Get all the dates and details at warhorsecasino.com. Plus even more ways to score big. Only at Warhorse Casino Lincoln. Minutes from downtown at Highway 77 and West Denton Road. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Now, to tie it back to Nebraska men's basketball, this group has a chance to do something that hasn't been done before.
Yeah.
In making a run in the Big Ten tournament, a serious run, and winning the first NCAA tournament game. But they're not going to get there by doing the same things they've always done. It is on this team to step up and change that narrative. It won't change on its own. Teams won't lay over for you, and that's the mindset shift we haven't consistently seen yet.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Happy Hour.
Husker softball in all preseason polls. In the 4 polls, 13th, 15th, 17th, and 18th. USA Softball is part of that. Softball America is one of them as well. D1 Softball.
Top 20 as a team, and they have at least 2 players in every top 50, top 100 poll, with Jordy Ball being anywhere from second. Honestly, I think third was her lowest ranking in some of those. And Billy Andrews, usually it's those 2. There was one that had Kate Kaneda.
Weekdays from 1 to 2 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is Sunday Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to Husker Rewind here on 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Camera 3, Tom. And I'm Mike Belby. That is Tom Stevens. We just got done talking to Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer Bo Reed on the Allo VIP line. Exceptional service with local heart. That is Allo Fiber. If you'd like to be a part of the program, you can call in on the Honda of Lincoln hotline or text in on the Sartor Heyman text line 402-464-5685. Streaming on...
I'm sorry. Go, I didn't mean to
I was just
interrupt.
going to say streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Didn't mean to interrupt you there.
You're all
Nebraska baseball improves to 7-3 after beating the College of Charleston. 3 late comeback wins. They were down 3-0 today. In game 1, I think it was Thursday night, they were down in the 8th inning. The first time under not just Will Bolt, but Darren Erstad. In the Big Ten era, Nebraska was like 10-223 when down after 8 innings. This weekend, they won in the 8th inning on Thursday. They win in the 8th inning on Friday. And then today, Friday's game, I believe, was canceled. Actually, Thursday, one of the games was canceled this weekend. And then they down 3-0 today, come back for a 5-3 win. So Nebraska baseball improves to 5-3. And it's really not anything magical other than solid hitting. They're not hitting a lot of bombs, but their bullpen has been really good. Their starting rotation pretty solid. They're not making a lot of errors, and they're just timely hitting. Add in a few walks, and Nebraska gets a sweep this weekend. They win 3 out of 4 against Grand Canyon last weekend. I like seeing Husker baseball start 7-3 because there have been years where we've seen 3-7 at this time.
Well, we have, and if you're not watching the game, Juwan Gary with a monster block after Nebraska turned it over, and Nebraska comes up with another defensive stop just underway at PBA senior night. Huskers are up 2-0, and Josiah Alec makes it 4-0.
That was almost a pass. Rink Mask just airballed a hook shot right into the hands of Josiah Alec.
Yeah, and so speaking of, but Nebraska baseball, they're like number 4 right now in the way too early RPI whatever rankings. They were number 1 earlier today for a little while. But, you know, the way they started things out, the 3 losses all were frustrating from a fan standpoint because they were games that they should not have lost. They blew late inning leads.
Yeah, and the big ones, Oklahoma and Texas Tech in particular.
Yeah.
The Oklahoma loss was the big one for me, where they were down to their last out was Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And Casey Dice, who I think is going to be a really good closer for Nebraska, unable to close it out. And Oklahoma, a very good baseball team, by the way, beat already, I think, number 2 Tennessee. So they're a good baseball team. And Texas Tech is a top 25 team. Those aren't bad losses, but they were bad in the way that they lost. I mean, giving up leads late. But I like the fact that this team reminds me a little bit of some of the old Anderson Childress teams. And maybe even Van Horn back before that. Van Horn had those type of teams, and Will Bolt comes from those teams. I think he has a similar mentality. Van Horn's teams were just tough. This one,
I think, more mentally tough, and I'm hoping. I mean, it's early in the season. They're 10 games in as Josiah Allick gets another dunk, and Nebraska's up 6-0. But it just seems like a very mentally tough team, and they brought in a lot of pitching. Their pitching depth was not strong last year. I think they brought in a lot. Brett Sears off to a great start. Drew Christo has pitched well at times. I think the bullpen is going to be really good, but they've got depth of arms. There's going to be a lot of guys that you haven't yet heard of. I think in the bullpen, they're going to step up throughout the season.
I really do as well. And I want to say that it is, I got to get the name correct. I think it's Ty Horn. Is Ty Horn the one that
Ty Horn.
Like, he had a perfect ERA his senior year in high school, 6-0 record, 0.00 ERA in 38.1 innings, struck out 65 opposing hitters. He struck out 46% of the batters he faced his senior year in high school. And you saw it early on with him in that opening series, or the opening tournament that they were in. He comes in and you're just like, wow, okay, this is going to be fun to watch for the next 3 years. Yep. They're doing what they kind of did in Will Bolt's first, full non-COVID year, where they have that ability to just, they're down 10-1 going to the bottom of the ninth, and they're like, we got this. Maybe not that drastic, but they always were in games. They hung around, and then they found ways late. I thought they were going to do it in the third game against Grand Canyon. They were down 7-5. They load the bases, nobody out. They can't get anybody home. And that was, like I said, one of those frustrating things. I'm sure it was far more frustrating for the coach and the team than it was for the fans, but you're just sitting there and you're like, oh, come on, this is where we need to win games. Yeah. But they've now won 6 of 7. They've won their the last 4. And then you can, flip that to the softball side. Softball got beat 5-1 by Michigan today. Michigan's a top 25 team, though, not a bad team at all. So they lost 2 to Michigan this weekend, and they've lost 4 in a row. But Rhonda Ravel's crew, 8-10 on the season. Obviously, without Jordy Ball, they're going to struggle a little bit this year till they kind of figure out a different formula. Hopefully they do. But boy, Will Bolt has got the baseball team just rolling.
Yeah, I like the formula. Strong pitching. The bullpen looks to be solid. And they're not trying to overpower you with the long ball. I mean, we saw 100 home runs last year. I don't think it's going to be that type of team. I think they're going to have power, but they're going to be a team that gets on base, that draws a lot of walks, that has a lot of steals, that doesn't make a lot of errors. That's what I'm hoping you're going to see, and is able to win these type of games that they haven't a lot in the past, where they don't get rattled. If they're down a couple runs late, they're able to score and get back in games. And boy, this was a nice series for Nebraska baseball as they improved to 7-3 and beat a nice College of Charleston team, a team that hadn't lost, I believe, or lost one game maybe, or had they lost it all over the course of the season. This is a really good baseball team. So was Grand Canyon before that.
Yeah, they were getting votes in the top 25, was Grand Canyon University. However, things change. The scenery changes for the baseball team. They open up their home slate next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday against South Alabama, 4:05 on Friday, 2:05 on Saturday, and 12:05 on Sunday.
Could have played here today.
Oh, how beautiful would that have been?
It'd have been great. So there we go. There's our baseball report, and we will have Lance Harvell on throughout the season. Yeah. No doubt about it. They're flying back. Obviously, it was going to be tough to get him today, but hopefully next weekend, as you mentioned, they open their homestand, and we'll get him on the air for that. Let's talk a lot of basketball, because that's what we're doing today. Nebraska basketball up 8-3 in the early going. And just watching the defensive intensity, it reminds me a little bit of what we saw when we were in the studio last weekend versus Minnesota. Minnesota didn't get to 50 until the very end of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, the defensive effort. And again, the play of Juwan Gary, we turn the ball over. It's a breakaway layup. Tominaga does a smart thing, runs under the guy as he starts to go up, make sure he doesn't make contact so there's no foul. And Gary closes and gets to the ball before it hits off the backboard. He gets the block. It went out off of Nebraska, but they ran out and chased a guy, forced him to miss the 3, and they wound up coming back down. I think it's 8-3 now, and they're at the under 16 timeout.
Steve Peichel always has really physical teams, and now they're getting better. I mean, he's getting 2 5-stars next year. Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper are both 5-stars. Ron Harper Jr., I think that's Ron Harper. Brother? I think that Ron Harper Jr. played there, and Dylan Harper is coming. I think that's the brother of Ron Harper Jr.
Yeah. believe
Ron
you're right.
Harper, of course, played with Michael in the NBA. I think that is correct. I know his name is Dylan Harper. I think that's a relative there. So they're starting to get really good players, and they already play physical. You always know when you play Rutgers, they're going to try to beat the crap out of you because that's kind of what they do. And they're coming off a big win over Michigan, 82-52. Nebraska, of course, dropped their game to Ohio State on Thursday, 78-69. Nebraska, of course, not a great road team. They have two significant road wins this year, the Kansas State win and the Indiana win. But today, I think, would go a long way in not only cementing Nebraska into the Big Ten, into the NCAA tournament, but getting that double bye. I think they really have the advantage over Wisconsin if they were able to win out. Now, I know you have the pairings. We could do that if you want to come back. I mean, everybody is playing.
Yeah, I've got the schedules for basically the 6 teams that are battling it out for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Yeah, let's do that. When we come back, and we'll watch the game and we'll report on the game. Nebraska just knocks down a mid-range jumper. Casey gets his first basket of the game, and they lead 10-3. We'll go to break and come back with more. I'm Tom Stevens. He's Mike Melby. This is Husker Rewind.
Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends. That's the greatest compliment we can receive. If you've been in an accident, we'll get you back in your vehicle as quickly as possible. Our technicians care about you and your family and repair your vehicle to factory standards. We handle your claim from start to finish and provide a free loaner car. Stop by for a free estimate. Eustace Body Shop, just south of 88th and Highway 2.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
The Coach's Pep Talk. Done well, it creates strong team unity, improves motivation, and attitude. So when Platte Valley Equipment says they're here to help you succeed, you'll have their 100% support to help you handle any task with their John Deere equipment that gets the job done every time. And with low monthly payments, well, that should be some serious motivation to visit PlatteValleyEquipment.com. Proud sponsor of the 2024 NSAA Boys and Girls High School State Basketball Tournament. High school basketball fans, take a trip over to the Nebraska High School Sports Hall of Fame while you're in town for state hoops. Admission is free, and it's a great way to learn about some of the greatest athletes and teams to come out of the state, from recently to over 100 years ago in all sports. Learn more about names like Gale Sayers, Johnny Rogers, Bob Gibson, Tom Osborne, and more. Open Wednesday through Friday from 1 to 4 p.m. It's the Nebraska High School Sports Hall of Fame, just north of Haymarket Park at 500 Charleston Street. At Fairway Meat Market, your family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Now, through March 3rd, enjoy USDA Choice Top of Nebraska Sirloin for $4.99 per 10-ounce cut. Lots of options on fresh fish. 30 packs of Busch Light for just $18.99. And for ticket listeners only, 3-pound packs of Fairway's fresh ground beef for just $2.99 per pound. That's all at Fairway Meat Market in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
This is Brad with Midwest Bank, proudly serving our Nebraska communities for over 70 years. We're a community bank, making local decisions, supporting local organizations, and helping local businesses and farms succeed. We are dedicated to serving our clients and helping them meet their financial needs with sound, innovative banking solutions. From an array of checking and deposit accounts, cash management services, to small business, real estate, and ag lending. We're here for you. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at MidwestBank.com. Member FDIC.
Looking for a job that feels like family? Join Lincoln Industries, where tradition meets innovation. They're a family-owned, privately held manufacturing company with a passion for excellence and a commitment to their community. They have openings on all shifts at both the main plant and air park facilities, offering flexibility to fit your schedule. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, there's a place for you there. At Lincoln Industries, they invest in their people's success, providing opportunities for growth and advancement. Apply now and become a part of something special at Lincoln Industries. Golfing in 72 degrees and perfect conditions in Nebraska doesn't seem possible in the winter, but it is. Double Eagle Golf is your escape from the bone-chilling cold outside and a reason to keep your clubs out year-round. Book a bay with some friends for a weekend or come by for golf and happy hour on a weekday. Spring leagues begin in February. Get signed up today. That's all at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex at West O Street. Online at doubleeagle.golf.
Have you been accused of a crime? Is your freedom at stake? At Liberty Law Group, we are committed to the defense of liberty for those accused. Facing the court is stressful, overwhelming, and full of uncertainty. At Liberty Law Group, we believe in treating every person with respect, compassion, and understanding. When legal troubles are keeping you up, trust Liberty Law Group to fight your battles. To learn more, call 877-42-LIBERTY. That's 877-42-LIBERTY.
Are you searching for a helping hand in life? Look no further. Integrated Behavioral Health Services is your answer. They're your compassionate, trusted partners committed to guiding you from challenges to triumphs. Their licensed professionals offer personalized therapy for individuals, couples, and families. At IBHS, the focus is you. Experience a life-changing transformation in an environment tailored to your unique needs. Visit ibhealthservices.com today and take that first step towards a brighter future. Discover the power of healing with Integrated Behavioral Health Services. You're not alone. Let them walk this journey with you.
This is Sunday Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. Tom Stevens, Mike Melby, Husker Rewind every Sunday, 5 to 7. Last 2 weeks, it's been us in the studio watching Husker basketball instead of being there live at PVA on TV. But we were good luck last week with that big win over Minnesota, domination of Minnesota at home without shooting very well, especially in the first half where they were up 28-20 at half, and then just take control in the second half as they started to heat up. This reminds me a little bit of that so far. It's kind of a physical, ugly game.
The worrisome thing for me, though, is like, I don't know if it's 5 or 6, but the turnovers we've had have just been
too many.
Very not good plays.
Jamarcus had a bad one. I mean, I don't know what he was doing on that last possession trying to throw it to Rink Mask, and he's really not been doing that as much since he's been coming off the bench.
And it was right off a steal. He had just stolen the ball, and then he turns it over on the other end of the floor.
Yeah.
But
they're playing okay. You could tell that Casey really wants to make his dad happy today. Like his dad's in town, who, by the way, looks nothing like Casey. He's got to be 6'10", 6'11", something like that. He is just a huge, huge man. Casey's 6'2", and maybe for most of his career has weighed $150. He's gotten a little bigger this year and hit the weight room. But he and his dad have nothing in common physically. But I have a feeling that Casey really wants to go off. He had a nice play where he drove, took the mid-range shot off the glass, followed his own miss, and did a nice little reverse at the rim to give Nebraska a 14-7 lead, and that's where they are right now.
Yeah, so taking a look at the standings, where things sit, you've got Purdue in the Big Ten Conference leading the way, 15-3, Illinois 13-5, Northwestern 11-7, Nebraska and Wisconsin are both 10-8. Nebraska owns the tiebreaker based on it's 1-1 between the two, so they each won on their home floor. But Nebraska knocked off Purdue. Wisconsin has lost to Purdue. They finished the season at Purdue, but even if they win, it's the better record. So if they both had played them once and they both were 1-0, it would go down to the next tiebreaker. But that's not the case. Nebraska doesn't play Purdue a second time, so their 1-0 record is going to be better than Wisconsin's 1-1. So if Nebraska ties with Wisconsin, they're in good shape. But you could have Northwestern, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, and Michigan State all tie in a 6-way tie, and I don't know what the hell's going to happen then. But I can tell you where we're at today and the remaining schedules. Northwestern overall is 11-7. They're in third. Nebraska 10-8. In fourth based on the tiebreaker. Wisconsin 5th. Iowa 6th at 10-9. Minnesota is 7th at 9-9. They're tied with Michigan State. They hold the tiebreaker there. So let's look at the schedules. Nebraska hosting Rutgers senior night right now, and Nebraska's up 12-5.
I think it's 7. I think it's 14-7.
Okay,
I think it's 14-7.
So Nebraska's up there. The way things sit, so you've got at Michigan next Sunday morning at 11 a.m.,
which is going to be weird because it's going to be senior day for Michigan. Nobody's going to show up. Is Juwan Howard even back next year? You wonder about that. 11 a.m. game. It's going to be a really quiet gym. I'm wondering if there might be more Nebraska fans than Michigan fans there.
Never know. So the Wisconsin is the team that we're technically tied with, but we own the tiebreaker over. They are 10-8. They host Rutgers on the 7th, which is Thursday, and then they're at Purdue next Sunday.
Juwan Gary just hit both free throws, and it's now 16-7 Nebraska.
So you got Wisconsin with a tough Rutgers team that they host. on Thursday, and then they finish at Purdue. Northwestern 11-7. They're a game ahead of Nebraska. They are at Michigan State on Wednesday. You have to think Michigan State is like, that's senior night. They have got to win that game. They've lost 2 in a row. And then they host Minnesota. So, man, you talk about things getting weird. Minnesota at Northwestern next Saturday. That's going to throw a giant monkey into some wrench somewhere in somebody's postseason plans and seeding in the tournament. Iowa 10-9 right now. They only have 1 game left. Next Sunday, they host Illinois.
They're making a run.
That
was a nice win over Northwestern.
It was, but you've got to think. I mean, they're hosting Illinois. Illinois is one of the top 20 teams in the country. That's going to be a tough win, even at home, for the Hawkeyes. Minnesota right now in 7th. They're 9-9. They host Indiana on Wednesday. Then they're at Northwestern next Saturday. So again, Minnesota Northwestern next Saturday to me is going to be the key on probably settling maybe multiple teams, up to 4 teams seedings in the Big Ten tournament. And then Michigan State, they've lost a few in a row. They host Northwestern on Wednesday, and then they're at Indiana
They're
next
dangerous.
Sunday.
They're dangerous. I think Iowa's dangerous. Obviously, Purdue and Illinois are the 2 best teams. If I'm facing a team like Northwestern or Nebraska, I don't want to face them in the NCAA tournament or even Iowa right now. Iowa might be playing the best basketball of anybody as Nebraska knocks down a 3.
CJ.
We needed CJ. Boy, we need CJ.
Told you,
CJ.
Get him out of the corner. That's what I just told you last break. Get him out of the corner.
Don't put
Let him
Baby
shoot
in the
from
corner.
up top.
Don't put Baby in the corner. Don't put CJ in the corner.
Right now, no. Let him shoot from up top. He just did and splash.
I love it. This reminds me a little bit as Rutgers gets a running one-hander to go, and it's 19-9. Does remind me a little bit of Nebraska versus Minnesota last week, but Nebraska's shooting a little bit better than they did at that point. If they could get CJ, to your point, going, and you get just normal Casey, you get Rink to step up a little bit. I think they've got plenty defensively. Plenty of defensively. A bad shot. I don't know who took that. I think that been Jamarcus. Jamarcus with a long shot there, but feel comfortable right now with how Nebraska is playing. So there you go.
Oh, absolutely.
So we will do the Big Ten Blitz. We'll go through not every game, but we'll go through most of the games that were important this week and then do our own rankings. We do it every single week. We've got lots to talk about. Tough loss for Nebraska women today. They had a chance to seal the double bye against Illinois. And couldn't get it done. They lose 75-74, had a couple shots at the buzzer that did not go down for the Lady Huskers. A little disappointing. I'm a little disappointed because I thought that was a winnable game over a mediocre team. It was on the road.
Yeah, they missed a ton of easy shots. I'm just astounded.
Missed a lot of shots at
layups. And then
the
down 1 with 20 seconds to play or whatever it was.
Yeah.
They missed 2 free throws. Stuff that can't happen.
Yeah, it was stuff that just I think this is a good team. I don't think it's a great lady basketball team. I think they're safe for the NCAA tournament. They have 11 wins in conference.
Yeah,
I think they're safe for that.
But I mean,
but you'd like to see them finish a little stronger.
Yeah, and I mean they may only have 2 games left in the season, and if so, I would think the season if they wind up going 1 and done in the Big Ten tournament, 1 and done in the NCAA tournament, I would paint the season a colossal disappointment. So they've got to avoid that. You've got the best player in Nebraska high school girls history since Jordan Hooper, or not Jordan Hooper. Who am I thinking of?
Amy Stevens? No.
Anyway.
Martise Ivy?
No. Regardless,
Jordan Hooper was a Nebraska kid. Jordan
I
Hooper
was thinking. Yeah,
she was a Nebraska kid.
Bottom line, Britt Prince is coming from Elkhorn North.
And 4 straight.
She over the weekend, her and her mom won their 4th straight title. Mom coaches the team there. She is a special player. She's one that I'll be honest with you. I mean, nobody's going to live up to Caitlin Clark. I think she's a once in a generation type player. But man, Britt Prince has got all the tools to be really, really good for 4 years, wherever she decides to play all 4 years, whether it's at Nebraska or she moves on or whatever and plays somewhere else at some point. But holy smokes, is she going to be a whale of an addition to that team next year.
So a tough loss today for the Lady Huskers. They're safe for the NCAA tournament. Like to see them go on a run in the Big Ten tournament, but they could have had the double bye with the victory today. Casey gets a layup, and then Rutgers gets another layup on the other end. but Nebraska now leads 21-13 with 7:28 left to go in the first half. We'd like to welcome our new sponsor, Friedman Law. Give them a call if you're ever injured, seriously injured. 402-476-1093. Friedman Law has been helping injured people for over 60 years. It's really all they do. So if you're ever injured on the job or in a crash, contact Friedman Law at friedmanlaw.com. Let's get to break. Come back with more. The Big Ten Blitz is next.
Not many businesses can say they've made it 60 years, but Madsen's Bowling and Billiards can. With 12 bowling lanes and the biggest pool room in Nebraska, where else would you go to enjoy an afternoon or evening? There's a great daily specials like $2 Tuesdays, games of bowling, shoe rentals, draft beers, and tacos, all just $2 each. Have a delicious burger at EJ's Lounge before or after your bowling or pool session, and you'll leave satisfied. Madsen's Bowling and Billiards at 47th and Dudley.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstoRats.com for amazing offers, and if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Don't allow uninvited guests to take over your home. Trust Bats to Rats for a peaceful and rodent-free living space.
Plains Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
My dream was to work in commercial banking, but it required a college degree and I didn't have one. I found out that Doane had classes for adult learners on the Lincoln campus and online. So I earned my bachelor's degree, and 5 months later, I landed my dream job. I decided to continue my education, and now I'm working on my MBA at Doane. For me, the Doane experience has been life-changing.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. The last few years have been wild, but we've been here for you through all the ups and downs, and we'll be here for you when you need us the most, for all your travels and for your day-to-day driving. With winter conditions causing problems all over town, the last thing anyone needs this year is constant car troubles. Let us help you drive in peace and make sure you drive to work and to winter destinations safe. A1 Automotive, 11th and L Street downtown, always honest answers.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
At Allo, we believe in the exceptional. From extraordinary whole home coverage to super fast speeds, our local teams are always on hand to make sure your service is running at top performance. Let go of lag, banish buffering, and enjoy outstanding service throughout your entire home. We believe in delivering nothing less than exceptional service, so that's exactly what we do. Visit us at allofiber.com to experience the exceptional.
You're spending $300 a month. Binge drinking is the most common form of excessive drinking, which costs the United States more than $191 billion each year. By drinking less, you will save $300 a month. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
Ironhide Construction is hiring. They're looking for hardworking, self-motivated individuals who are team players. Iron Height Construction has openings for an experienced project manager, estimator, apprentice, skilled laborer, and erector or installer. They will train the right people and make sure you understand the position and requirements. At Iron Height Construction, it's own it, be honest, and do it right. Apply today and learn more about their other benefits at ironheightconstruction.com, where they're committed to you every step of the way.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is Sunday Rewind.
Take it back now, y'all.
Put my thing down, flip it and reverse it. If I could turn back time.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Now, here are your hosts, Tom Stevens and Mike Melby.
A fun hour number one. Talked to Bo Reed, former Nebraska Hall of Famer, played for Danny Neep from 88 to 91. Talked a lot about the glory days of Nebraska basketball. The glory days seem like they're today. Nebraska basketball, much better performance so far than we saw versus Ohio State on Thursday night. Lead 29-15 over Rutgers with 4:47 left to go the first half. They're just so much better at home than they are on the road. And the passing has been really good. I know there were some turnovers earlier, but the passing as of late has been really good. Josiah Alec is playing really well. Not doing anything special, just making his layups, rebounding, and providing a lot of energy for Nebraska basketball.
Yeah, 6 turnovers is the concerning thing. Jamarcus Lawrence has 2 in just a handful of minutes, and Casey's got 2 as well. Casey's playing like a guy who's playing in his last home game, trying to impress somebody as opposed to just playing the way he plays every day.
I'm just going to miss him.
I
think we're all just going to miss him just because he's so much fun. I understand if you play for the opposing team, he's not the guy that you want to go against just because he seems like he might be a brat. But I don't think any of it's malicious with Casey. I think he has a love for life, but when he's on your team, you love him. When he's not on your team, you probably don't love him. Let's get to the Big Ten Blitz.
The Big Ten Blitz. The Big Ten Blitz. The Big Ten Blitz. The Big Ten Blitz.
Earlier on Saturday, we'll go through the Saturday games for the Big Ten. You had Illinois over Wisconsin, 91-83. Marcus Damask had 31 points as Illinois, number 13 Illinois, beat Wisconsin in Madison. Damask was actually the Mr. Basketball for Wisconsin. Terrence Shannon also played well. He had 23 points in that game. Illinois beat Wisconsin for the 4th straight time at the Kohl Center in Madison. Chucky Hepburn had a nice game, 15 points. Tyler Wall had 20 points, but Wisconsin has kind of fallen off a wall.
Nebraska broke them.
I think Nebraska might have broke them. They do host Rutgers on Tuesday. Does Wisconsin? Illinois will host Purdue on Tuesday.
Speaking of Purdue, they pick up the win yesterday, 80-74 over Michigan State. Michigan State now, what have they lost? 3 of 4, I believe, or is it just 3 in a row? But not necessarily the way Tom Izzo had expected. Zach Edey rolled 32 points, 11 boards. Braden Smith added 23 and 9 boards. And that clinches a share of the Big Ten regular season championship for Purdue. Gold confetti fell from the Mackey Arena rafters afterwards as they celebrated the conference best 26th conference title for Purdue. How about that? That's insane.
2 in a row. And Zach Edey, as you said, another great game, 32 points. He's going to be the National Player of the Year again, right? I hope they do well in the tournament, but they don't seem to play well in the tournament. But 15-3 and another Big Ten championship is pretty good, and they're going to win their 2nd in a row, the first to do that since Ohio State did it in 06-07. Cam Christie had a nice game, 19 points as Minnesota rallied from 12 points down to defeat Penn State. Penn State had a 23-point lead in the first half and as much as 12 after that. Elijah Hawkins had 18 points. Minnesota swept the series this year. Minnesota 21-5 run to take a 4-point lead late, and then they held on. Minnesota has played some pretty good basketball at times, some pretty bad basketball at times. They're 9-9 in the league, 18-11. Not good enough to get into the NCAA tournament. You would think without a big run in the Big Ten tournament. They do host Indiana on Wednesday. Penn State hosts Maryland March 10th. That'll be their last game of the year.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Iowa wins yesterday on the road. This was big for Nebraska, I think. They knock off Northwestern 87-80. Josh Dix scored a career-high 24 points. Peyton Sanford had 23. And Dix made 9 of 13 from the field, 4 of 5 from three-point range. Boo Buie led the Wildcats with 27 and 7 assists. He was 9 of 13 from the field, 6 of 7 from three. And the Hawkeyes, though, come up with a huge win. That gets them into the conversation for an outside shot.
They're still going to have to win a few more games.
At the double bye, but bottom line is that they're into the point where they're at least not going to play on Wednesday. And they, at 10-9, just one game left.
Yeah, they're off till March 10th as well.
Yeah, and they
host Illinois. That would be a big win for them. If they can beat Illinois, you'd like to think they're on the right side of the bubble. If you were to take a player in the Big Ten that's not named Zach Edey, who's the second best player in the Big Ten? I think I would go Boo Buie.
I don't even know that I'd question that.
27 points, 7 assists, 9 of 13. He hit 6 of 7 threes, and he's the one guy you can't let beat you, and yet he always beats you.
Well, he didn't beat him yesterday, though.
Well, I know
he went off for 27, was 6 of 7 from three, and they got beat by 7.
That is true. They scare me, though, if I have to play them in the NCAA tournament. Iowa kind of scares me right now, too. And, in fact, let's go through the games. You had Rutgers playing Nebraska, Indiana versus Maryland. I think Maryland was winning that game handily, weren't they?
No, Indiana won that game 83-78.
And Michigan at Ohio State.
Ohio State won 84-61.
Okay. So Ohio State's had a nice little run since they fired their coach.
Yeah, they have.
That's all you have to do is fire your coach and you go on a run. But as I'm looking at the rankings, obviously Purdue's the best team in the league. They're the number 2 team in the country. They've been number 1 at times. When Nebraska beat them earlier this year, they were ranked number 1. They're 26-3, 15-3 overall. Illinois is obviously the second best team in the league. And with Terrence Shannon, they're so much better. They're just a better basketball team. They look really good. Northwestern, I'm gonna still slot in there at number 3. Then Nebraska, number 4. They win today. And then I would go with Iowa, number 5. After that, you probably have Wisconsin, who's 10-8, but they've been sliding for the last 3 weeks. Wisconsin has. Michigan State's right there, and their net's really good. So don't count Michigan State out for the tournament. I think they would end it, though. I mean, beyond Michigan State, I wouldn't say anybody else has a chance of making the tournament.
That's the whole thing. Everything I've seen right now has got Michigan State in ahead of Nebraska.
Yeah, because their net is so high.
Yeah.
And Nebraska beat them at home. I think Michigan State needs another big win, and I think Northwestern would do it for them. They have Northwestern, I believe, this weekend. So Michigan State's just they're Tom Izzo coach team. They're going to be a tough out, no matter, and especially in March. And it's March. Last time I checked,
they are. Jamarcus Lawrence with another horrible turnover.
Still 32-18. Nebraska leads by 14 with 2:49 left to go in the half. As a foul was just called, I believe, on Rutgers, but Nebraska has had some bad turnovers. I would agree. And
I'm pulling up the stats because I'm just kind of curious how everything's going. This is astounding to me. Nebraska's dominating on the boards right now, 21-9. Josiah Alec has 7 rebounds, 3 of them offensive. Rank Mast has 3 rebounds, 2 of them offensive. Juwan Gary, 3 boards, 1 offensive. K-State Tominaga has 3 rebounds, 2 of them offensive. And Bryce Williams has 3 defensive rebounds. All 5 starters for Nebraska have a minimum of 3 rebounds. That's crazy. And it's not even the end of the half.
Nebraska still leads 32-20 with 2:20 left to go in the first half. Juwan Gary's not having his best game, I don't think, so far. He's forced a few shots at the rim, but Nebraska still leads, and that's a big shot there from Jamarcus Lawrence in the corner. That's a huge 3. I mean, when he plays well, and you haven't been able to say that for a lot of the season, when he plays well, this is a different team.
Well, he's 11 out of his last 14 coming into the game from 3.
Well,
last 3 games.
I'd say the last month he's kind of figured, since he's gone, whatever game he went to the bench.
The Penn State game.
Was that the Penn State game? Has that been a month? 3 weeks?
No. It's been close to that.
Yeah. I mean, that I think that changes this team. Bryce Williams is your point guard. As we heard Bo Reed say earlier, he just makes better decisions.
And then Jamarcus has a chance to look at the game from the bench and figure out what needs to be done when he goes in there. And he seemed to figure it out. He's the Jamarcus that we saw pretty much the second half of last year.
Yeah, he was forced into the role because of injuries, and there you go. You winds up becoming a guy. And again, it's one of those where if Aaron Eulis is not tied up in the gambling scandal at Iowa, I think Aaron Eulis is your point guard, and I think Jamarcus plays the 2 the entire season. Yeah. And maybe he has a sophomore campaign that is exactly what you would have expected and what we've seen the last handful of games from him.
13-point lead for Nebraska, 1:31 left to go in the first half. Get back to the rankings here. I've got Purdue 1, Illinois 2, Northwestern 3, Nebraska 4, Iowa, then Wisconsin. Give me your top 6 or 7 in the league. And then after that, it really doesn't matter. Maybe you could throw Minnesota in the mix.
Well, I mean, it's pretty simple. Purdue, Illinois, Northwestern, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan State, Minnesota.
How many of those teams are in the tournament in your mind?
6. Only 6 make it. Barring
so Michigan
Minnesota,
State's out. Or Wisconsin's out.
No, Minnesota's not going to make it.
Oh, Iowa's out then. Oh, no. I mean, so you got Purdue in.
Iowa and Minnesota are not going to make it. Michigan State is.
I think Iowa's got a chance. I think Purdue, Illinois, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Michigan State. That's 5. And then you've got Iowa on the bubble. That could be 6. That's the only other team. I think Iowa, they make a run. That could be 6 teams in the NCAA tournament. But 5 for sure with Purdue, Illinois, Northwestern, Nebraska. That's 4. Wisconsin. Oh, I guess that would be 6 with Michigan State and 7 with Iowa. But you think how many teams get in your mind?
6. Barring somebody making a run in the tournament to the championship game or winning it outright, that is a Minnesota and Iowa and Indiana. Outside chance, Ohio State, who knows? Everybody else, no chance. But unless some of those teams, you're talking Ohio State, Indiana, they're going to have to win the tournament to get in.
Mm-hmm.
But if Minnesota gets to the title game where they win 3, right, I think they get in. But does it cost if Nebraska doesn't win? Let's say Nebraska wins today and loses first round of the Big Ten tournament, loses at Michigan. If Iowa went on a run and got to the championship game, or Minnesota did, I think they may knock Nebraska out.
No, I think Nebraska wins today, they're in.
I kind of do too.
I just think they win today, they're in. They've got a 2-point lead, and Rutgers fires I think that was late anyway.
It was, yeah.
Nebraska leads 12 at halftime. So Nebraska 37-25 lead at halftime.
Get Sipple on the phone.
Oh, yeah. We got to get him on the phone and get him on the phone quick. I'll call him. Hopefully he knows that he has to go to the press room. He knows that. I'm sure he's at the game. It is a home game. Last time we talked to him, it was at Illinois. But we'll talk to him, Stephen M. Sipple. He does a show called Early Break with Sip and Jake and, of course, Bill Bush. Great show here on The Ticket. And he's going to be on our show coming up next.
Rain, snow, or shine, John Henry's is here to keep your home's plumbing systems working properly no matter what kind of weather Nebraska throws at us. From unclogging toilets and drains to installing new water heaters and water treatment systems, John Henry's is your plumbing expert in the Lincoln and Omaha communities. Visit us at calljh.com or call John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
You can get diesel anywhere. But what about
Atomic Diesel?
That comes from Stern. Atomic Diesel is your solution to all your cold weather problems. Prevent clogged fuel filters, increase your fuel economy, and save money with
Atomic Diesel.
Contact Roger at Stern today by calling 1-800-477-2744 to see how
Atomic Diesel
and the rest of their line of fuels and lubricants can keep your operation running at max capacity.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red.
Looking for a job that feels like family? Join Lincoln Industries, where tradition meets innovation. They're a family-owned, privately held manufacturing company with a passion for excellence and a commitment to their community. They have openings on all shifts at both the main plant and Air Park facilities, offering flexibility to fit your schedule. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, there's a place for you there. At Lincoln Industries, they invest in their people's success, providing opportunities for growth and advancement. Apply now and become a part of something special at Lincoln Industries.
Plains Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
24/7 threat monitoring, expert tech support, streamlined communications. Allo has a solution for that. Protect your business with Allo Business. Comprehensive firewall security, Microsoft Teams voice-integrated communications, cybersecurity and IT support managed by experts. From productivity to peace of mind, Allo has a solution for that. Allo means business. Protect your business by visiting allofiber.com/business.
Liberty Law Group is committed to the defense of liberty for those accused and the pursuit of justice for those injured. Liberty Law Group's relentless trial attorneys specialize in criminal defense and personal injury law. We believe in treating every client with respect, compassion, and understanding. We know that navigating the legal system is stressful and overwhelming, but Liberty Law Group will carry that burden for you. When you're facing legal issues, make the right call. 877-42-LIBERTY. That's 877-42-LIBERTY.
Hog Wild's giant stuffed baked potatoes are anything but basic and really hit the spot when you're craving a little comfort food. Nothing is more satisfying than a Hog Wild baked potato loaded with butter, sour cream, cheddar cheese, bacon bits, and chives. Add your choice of a Hog Wild house-smoked meat like pulled pork, chicken, or brisket for a little extra. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
You had to know that when Wingstop set out to make a crispy, juicy chicken sandwich, they wouldn't make it in just one flavor. They'd make it in all 12, like lemon pepper, mango habanero, hickory smoked barbecue, and OG hot. So why have one new favorite chicken sandwich when you can have 12? Try the new sauced and tossed Wingstop chicken sandwich today for only $5.49 at Wingstop, where flavor gets its wings. Valid for a limited time and available at participating Wingstop locations only while supplies last. Price subject to applicable taxes and fees.
This is Sunday Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to Husker Rewind. My name is Mike Melby. That is Tom Stevens. Hello. And joining us on the Allo VIP line is Husker Online's Stephen M. Sipple. Sip, what'd you think of that first half?
About what I expected. I figured Rutgers would have a hard time scoring. They did. I figured Nebraska would be full of energy. It was. They hammered Rutgers on the boards. I don't know what the total is at half.
24-12.
24-12, yeah. So Nebraska has a lot of bounce. I really credit there's a lot that goes into a team that still has so much in its legs this time of year. And guys like, look at Juwan Gary going to the boards, and Alec, really everybody. They did a good job of bringing this team along. Trainers, Fred. So yeah, they're in good shape here. I don't know. Let's see if Rutgers can get to 50. That's the question in my mind. I don't think that, Rutgers probably make it a little bit of a game in the second half, but I don't think it'll get too tense.
If you were going to be negative, I would suppose you might point to the turnovers. Nebraska has 10 of them so far in the first half. Rutgers is only shooting 34%, 15 from 3. Nebraska is shooting 53%, 40 from 3, and only up 12. It feels like without the turnovers, they could be up 20 right now.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you got to give Rutgers some credit there, though. I mean, Rutgers does play defense.
Yeah.
Rutgers is. I mean, both these teams play really good defense. Rutgers is pretty bad offensively. I mean, as it usually is. I know they're coming off an 80-point game. That was against Michigan, though, and Michigan obviously is like a JUCO team right now. So I mean, I just think it'll be kind of ugly. Nebraska, I mean, I'm trying to guarantee you, Fred's talking about the turnovers right now. I know they'll get that. I think they can clean that up. Again, though, Rutgers does play good defense. So, but I just think Nebraska's just too potent on offense for them. And the crowd gives Nebraska a great advantage. It's really electric. Last two Sundays, I mean, pretty much all these weekend games have been electric, but it's been pretty noticeable to me the last two.
The one stat that stands out to me, Sip, and it may even shock you if you haven't seen it, but Cliff Omoruyi has 0 rebounds in the first half and just 2 points.
That's really strange, given his physique and his level of 1-2. Again, give Nebraska credit on there. It's kind of a freak stat. You're right. But no, I mean, Nebraska really came out and hammered the boards. So, and that's why they're in control. That's the main reason they're in control.
You mentioned the boards. Josiah Alec is having his best game so far, I think. He's 3 for 4 from the field, 7 rebounds. He's had a couple of nice assists. He has 6 points. He gives Nebraska, he's giving Nebraska what Jawan Gary usually gives, and that's energy. He has really stepped up the last few games. There were a few games this year I wondered about him, but man, he has added a new dimension when he went back into the starting lineup, I think.
Yeah, it seems like his last 7 or 8 games, he went up a notch. Yeah. I mean, he really helps. His hands, I mean, it seems like we had trouble sometimes at times catching the ball, getting hold of the ball. It was getting knocked out of his hands a lot earlier in the year. You don't see that as much. His energy is incredible around the rim. He's a good finisher. He has been a good finisher. So yeah, I mean, he's the kind of guy that I just don't. He's the kind of reason I don't really worry about the second half of a game like this. God, people are going to kill me because it sounds like I'm going to jinx it. Now I will tell you this: I don't believe in jinxes at all. So I don't. So I think they'll be all right.
Sip, I'm right there with you on don't believe in jinxes. For all the games I called for the Stars, if the Stars were pitching a shutout through 2 periods, I would break out the stats on the number of shutouts for Stars goalies in that year and all time, and it never made a difference. So,
no, I've never understood that whole talk, to be honest. But yeah, no jinx.
Exactly. To me, the player of the game for Nebraska so far, and it's just game in, game out, the consistency. Jawan Gary, 4 of 7 from the floor. He's got 5 boards. The block that he had, he's got 2 blocks in the game, but the block that he had on that turnover, second or third possession of the game, I mean, that's one of those plays that there's only 2 guys. I'm going to include Josiah Alec as another guy that could probably make that play, but there's very few in the Big Ten that are going to make that play, and Jawan's one of them.
Well, it's because he's so explosive and he plays so hard, so he'll get down the court and get up and be able to make that sort of play. Also, his follow dunk I thought was amazing. That one-handed follow dunk toward the end of the first half. He and Alec. I'd say he and Alec. I'm thinking they've set the tone in the first half, mainly with their energy. So yeah, I mean but I got to say it again. The crowd is amazing here. It's packed. It's really hard. It'd be really hard for any team to come in here, just virtually any team in America, to come in here and win. I mean, Nebraska's elite, plays elite here. That's what this team's kind of defined this team. They're very, very, very dangerous in this building.
Yeah.
Now you get them outside it, they're not as. But man, in here, I don't know what it is.
I remember
they're really good.
Yeah, I remember talking to I'm sure you did as well, Danny Nee, when he was back for the reunion. He kept talking about PBA. He said Devaney was great. I mean, I didn't think anything could top Devaney, but had I had this to recruit to, this would have been amazing. I mean, he just went on and on about PBA. And you talk about it, and not just this year. It's been this way under the Tim Miles era. They're always top 20 in attendance. It's amazing when you think about Nebraska hasn't put on, up until this year for a while, a very good product, and they continue to churn out crowds. This year, obviously, it makes sense. The crowds are great.
It's a great building. It's a great setting. I mean, if you look up during the game, it's really cool. I mean, it's a neat configuration. I would say Nebraska puts on a very good game day presentation. I'm not at age 58. I'm not wild about the music choices, but everybody has fun. So it's fun. I mean, it's a fun place. It's too bad. I mean, I kind of felt. I wish there was a few more games. I wish there was a few more. It was the last home game, and maybe they'll get a game in Omaha in the NCAA tournament. But yeah, I mean, it gives everybody something to look forward to in the winter. And this team's going to be good next year. They got a lot of these guys back. Obviously, they're going to lose Casey and Alec and Boogie Coleman, who were honored before the game. But man, there's a lot of talent coming back here. So I think we're going to have a lot of these types of days next year.
Okay, so real quick, so Nebraska 17-1 prior to today, ties the all-time record for most home wins in a season. If they win today, they break it. 82-83, 07-08, and 10-11. They've also won 17 games. But setting a school record for home wins is nothing too shabby. But to talk about the guys that are coming back, what are your thoughts on C.J. Wilcher?
Oh, coming back. Well, I mean, I hope he comes back. I think he's coming back. I like him. I like his game. I know he's struggled. He's not shooting the ball well now for several games, but it's just like Casey to me. Casey went through that period where he shot the ball poorly too. I remember Casey went through a four game stretch where he couldn't hit anything, and then I kept telling people they won't last. He'll come out of it, and Wilcher will come out of it. And he'll be another. If he comes out of it against Michigan, that'd be great. But if it happens in the Big Ten tournament, that'd be better. Happens in the NCAA tournament, that'd be even better. Wilcher's not gonna. I like Wilcher's game. He doesn't. He's really limited as a defender because he doesn't move well laterally. But he is. He's a big kid, big strong senior. And I love his shooting stroke. He's not always going to miss. Shooters go through, how it is. You guys have watched basketball for as long as I have. Shooters go through slumps. He'll come out of it. But see, here's the thing about Wilcher. Even as he's struggling as a shooter, he's still playing hard. And he's not. I don't think he's hurting them bad. He doesn't help him a whole lot when he's not shooting, but he's not hurting them bad.
They win the next two games. You got to feel good about their chances to get a double bye in the Big Ten tournament. But if they win today, do you feel confident they're in? They need today?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, first of all, it'd just be a shock, absolute shock to me if they lost this game. So I don't even know how to comprehend that. Do they have to win? I don't think so. I mean, you're kind of playing with fire though. So I don't size it up quite that way. I don't think you can, Tom, because there's so many unknowns. What if they lose this game and then win the Big Ten tournament?
Right.
They're going on a run. So I don't really size it up that way. And I'm not really thinking it that way because I think there's about a 4% chance they'd lose this game.
All right, the second half about to begin. We'll let you get back to it. I know you're there right now. Thanks, Steve, for sharing your time. We appreciate it.
Hey, it's kind of fun to do this. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you, sir.
How about that? Stephen M. Sipple, Early Break with Sip and Jake and Bill Bush. And, of course, he writes for HuskerOnline.com. Good stuff on that website. It is fun to do halftime interviews like this. Last week it was Tom Chattel. Yeah. This week, Stephen M. Sipple, two of the best writers in the state. That was kind of fun to do a little halftime jaunts. I know a lot of people we don't have the normal listenership. Obviously, Nebraska is playing basketball right now. But I don't care. It's still fun.
Well, we do have the normal podcast listenership because people come back and check out the show. We appreciate everybody that does watch the podcast on the YouTube channel for 93.7 The Ticket. And the two interviews today, what we garnered from both of them with Sip and Bo Reed in that first segment prior to the game, absolutely fantastic. And for those that did not catch the interview with Bo Reed, go back and listen to it. I think we're probably going to tweet out the one story about the game-winning shot against Michigan State, because that was priceless. But holy smokes, what two great, just fantastic interviews today.
And he has great basketball takes. Obviously, he knows basketball at a really high level. He grew up around it. His dad was a high school basketball coach and an assistant basketball coach for a brief period of time at the University of Nebraska. He just got, you could feel the passion. He's a soft-spoken guy half the time, but you could just feel the passion coming through the radio with Bo Reed.
Yeah,
I mean, he's just one of my favorite all-time Huskers. I mean, he's the guy, if you're building a team, you want on your team because he did everything. He made winning shots. He was a good shooter, great rebounder, very good passer. He could do it all. A lot of times, Danny had him playing the 2 guard at 6'8". It was interesting to me that I asked him, because I like this question, the best player you ever played with and the best player on those teams, because there are so many great players. Who do you pick?
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of who do you pick on this team?
Yeah.
But obviously, he said Rich King. He said Tony Farmer, the most talented player that I've ever played with. But then the third guy that he mentioned, I thought he might mention him that early, or maybe even second, Carl Hayes. Carl Hayes was one of my favorite players ever to watch, just because he is so athletic. I mean, he could, remember when Danny would put him at the top of the 1-3-1, and you'd have to throw over a 6'9" guy, that lanky 6'9" guy with his athleticism, and then he would steal the ball every third pass and get a dunk, and it was great.
Yeah,
I mean, Carl Hayes. No, I'm not sure whatever happened to Carl Hayes, because you don't usually see him back at games when they bring guys back for reunions. It's not a name that I ever hear, Carl Hayes, but he was so much fun to watch. Nebraska leads 37-25 with 18-12 left to go in the first half, as Rutgers really trying to take it to the hoop. They cut it to 10, 37-27. And that's what I would do with Nebraska, especially if you're Rutgers, because they're not a very good shooting team. Attack the rim on Nebraska. I'd just go right to the rim and try to get them in foul trouble.
Yeah, that bottom line. And Nebraska does have a little bit of foul trouble. You've got Jamarcus Lawrence and Josiah Alec both with 2 in the first half. And Alec possibly could have had one there. They should have called traveling, but evidently 4 steps is allowed in college basketball now.
It is on that play. It surely was. Good pass by Tamanaga. Should have been a foul called. Josiah Alec got hammered, and I don't think there was a call.
Yeah, there was.
Oh, was there? Okay. I just love that hair. I'm going to miss that hair. It's got to be the best hair in college basketball, right?
Oh, easily.
Does anybody have better hair than Josiah Alec in college basketball? The
No.
answer is no. The answer is no. I did ask that. I ask that question all the time. Does it change for you who the best player for Nebraska is? Does it always stay the same?
The most talented, and I kind of agree with Bo Reed on this, is the guy that is Bryce Williams.
He's the most talented, and he's so smooth.
Yeah,
but sometimes I think he's so smooth that people think he's not trying hard.
Yeah, I would
He's
agree.
one of those guys.
But at the same time, you sit there and you watch the end of games, and there's like nobody's really standing out, and then Nebraska's up, whether it's a handful or whatever. But one guy comes in and makes 2 great hustle plays, diving on the floor, getting a loose ball. Then he comes up with a steal and a coast-to-coast for a pick 6, and comes up with an offensive board and a kick out. Then he comes up with a defensive board and out-hustles a guy and out-jumps a guy, outworks a guy that's 7 inches taller than he is. And you're like, they don't win this game if it's not for Sam Hoiberg. Because I'm sure everybody's like, he's talking about Hoiberg, because he makes those plays at crunch time.
And he can do so many different things as Josiah Alec. Huge 3. You don't see that all the time from Josiah, but he's hit a couple big 3s this year. And to your point on Bryce Williams, he does everything. And I think they've started to play much better basketball since he's moved to the point. He's a 6'7" point guard, but he can certainly play off guard because he's done that. He can play the 3. He's a really pretty solid defender. Not all the time, but when he wants to be. I go back to that play against Indiana. They're making a run. And I think it was Indiana where he makes the block at the rim.
Yeah.
That was impressive. I think, he does so many things well. I think Bo is right that he needs to sometimes be more aggressive shooting the basketball, as Brinkmask was there and knocks down a 3. So Nebraska leads 44-29 with 16:30 left to go.
Another interesting stat from that first half, only 12 rebounds for Rutgers. Nebraska out-rebounded them 24-12 in the first, but 7 of their 12 rebounds for Rutgers were offensive in the first half. And they've already got a couple here in the second, but they miss another one.
Jawan Gary with a nice feed inside to Alec. He can't finish.
He shot an air ball from 6 inches away.
That was a nice play. Jawan forced the issue, then dished it off underneath to Alec, and he was unable to finish on that one. I'd like to talk about our new client, our new advertiser, our special people here on the ticket, and our new host of this show, Friedman Law. If you're ever seriously injured, call Friedman Law at 402-476-1093. Friedman Law has been helping injured people for over 60 years. It's all they do. So if you're ever injured on the job or in a crash, contact Friedman Law at friedmanlaw.com. Great to have those guys on the air with us. And every week they sponsor the injury report. We said this before the game. Eli Rice, the only big injury that we knew going into the game. And Eli hasn't played for a while. And I think, nobody mentions the fact that Eli's been injured. I think they probably should, because he was playing pretty well for half the season.
Oh, he really was. And like I said, I've heard that it's an ankle injury. I don't know that it's ever been whatever.
A high ankle sprain could keep you out for a while.
Boy. Yeah, ask Blaze Cada.
Right.
Real quick, too, I want to throw out a couple of things. And I know you're going to mention somebody local. I want to mention somebody national. Longtime ESPN NFL analyst Chris Mortensen passed away this morning at the age of 72. I always thought he was just literally the single most fair NFL analyst that there was. He called people out when they needed to be called out. If he was ever wrong, he would own it. He would apologize for it. And he was just one of the people that you genuinely trusted to give you, the news about your team, your favorite player, your arch enemy's favorite player, best player, whatever it was. Mort was always the guy. A huge loss for ESPN, huge loss for anybody that was a sports fan, man. What a great individual.
Absolutely. Another one, more on a local level, Anthony Massinio Jr. You know that name, of course, the owner of Valentino's, passed away earlier this month. I went to the memorial earlier today, and his sons did such a great job explaining who he was. I only met him a couple of times. You probably met him more than I did, but everybody that did meet him loved the guy. And you think of the top 5 Nebraskans, or certain Lincolnites for sure. I mean, as far as beloved and successful, I mean, who's more successful than Anthony Massinio Jr.? Really successful and really just a great guy. The couple of I didn't know him at a high level. I knew Anthony and know Anthony very well, as
Same
you
here.
do.
Yeah,
we're friends with Anthony Massinio and Michael and Debbie, his family. So we're not the only ones that feel bad because that guy passes away earlier this month at the age of 85. I mean, he was obviously an icon, a legend in this community.
Yeah, the basically founder.
Yeah.
Of Valentino's, Valentino's Pizza, and that's the whole
and
thing.
Amazingly enough, they had Valentino's Pizza today.
Imagine
at the memorial.
Yeah, my first ever job when I was 16 years old was at 70th and Van Dorn.
Really,
working at Valentino's. Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I remember we'd always get it when we were kids. For your birthday, you get to pick where you wanted to go for your dinner.
Yep.
It was always either King's, Valentino's, or Lee's.
Yep.
And then you'd pick one of those, and then you'd rotate it. I mean, you'd beg your brother or sister to choose somebody different. Hey, we went to Lee's last time. Let's go to Val's. But Anthony Massinio Jr., obviously a legend in this community and very missed. Nebraska leads 44-30, 15:59 left to go. When I asked Steve Sipple if he was slightly concerned, I don't remember how I phrased the question, because I was slightly concerned.
He laughed at you and said no.
He laughed at me and said, you're just being stupid. You're being silly. They don't lose at home. And if they win today, did you say that they're going to set the record?
It'll be if they win today, they would go 18-1. The 18 wins at home would be a single season record for Nebraska basketball. There were 3 other seasons that they did have that. And the most recent was, I want to say 2010, 2011. They also did it in 1982, 83, and then in 07, 08.
So there you go. This would be a big win today. Nebraska misses a layup, but still has a 13-point lead, 15 minutes left to go in the second half. Rutgers hanging around. They're only down 11. So we'll see where it goes. I'm going to have a discussion about culture at Nebraska, because this chasing 3 brings up that's where the catchphrase chasing 3 comes from. It's a new documentary by the university, over 53,000 views so far on YouTube. I'm going to talk a little bit about it because it was kind of interesting. They talk a lot about the polar bear, of course, Nash Hutmacher and his wrestling career and what's going on within the program. We'll talk a little bit about that. And Caitlin Clark breaks an all-time record in college basketball history.
She did.
Yeah, she's pretty good, as it turns out, leaving for the WNBA. But, boy, she is leaving on a high note. We'll get to that and come back with more after this.
Imagine a healthier, more active, physically fit version of yourself. If you've been putting off getting into shape, now is the time with the Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping 10-Week Challenge. Our program combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching to help you achieve your fitness goals. And ticket listeners, you can get $150 off the enrollment fee. The next challenge begins on March 23rd. You can get all the info at fxblincoln.com. Don't wait any longer. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping at 40th and Yankee Hill and 70th and Vine.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with Taco Night on Mondays or Whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
John Henry's has a brand new membership club to protect your entire home in one program. With a VIP and a deluxe option, we will help you find the plan that best fits your needs. Receive discounts on services and equipment, priority service, complimentary inspections, and so much more. Protect your home's plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical systems all in one membership. Call John Henry's to learn more.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
If your home heating system is making strange noises or just doesn't work like it should, call your friends at Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. Sign up for Bryant's exclusive ESP service protection plan. You'll get twice annual complete and thorough service on all brands, and you'll never pay overtime charges on evenings, weekends, or holidays. Schedule your heating check today and ask about Bryant's ESP plan to save money. Call 467-1111 or go to BryantLincoln.com. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Liberty Law Group is committed to the pursuit of justice for those that have been injured. My name is Eric Hagan, attorney with Liberty Law Group. If you've been injured in an accident that wasn't your fault, call 877-42-LIBERTY. Our detail-oriented trial attorneys are committed to the highest quality legal representation. At Liberty Law Group, we will fight for you. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Once again, that's 877-42-LIBERTY.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket. February is National Pet Dental Health Month. At Parkview Animal Hospital, their skilled doctors and staff can help identify and treat a wide range of dental issues. If your pet is showing signs of bad breath, abnormal chewing or drooling, reduced appetite, or refusal to eat, now is a great time to speak to a member of their team and help get your pet back on track to a healthy lifestyle. Call Parkview Animal Hospital today at 402-423-6939 to learn more about their discounts on dental cleanings, procedures, and hygiene products.
Hi, it's Tom and Mike from Husker Rewind. And did you know that people who are represented by an attorney are often compensated up to 3 times more than someone who is not?
Friedman Law has been helping injured people for over 60 years. It's all they do. If you're ever seriously injured in an accident, call Friedman Law at 402-476-1093.
Friedman Law is a family firm that works hard for Nebraska families just like yours.
So if you're ever injured on the job or in a crash, contact Friedman Law at friedmanlaw.com.
Plains Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
This is Sunday Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
If you haven't watched Caitlin Clark this year, she's pretty good. You should. National Player of the Year last year. She'll be National Player of the NBA, well, she's going to join the WNBA. But she'll be National Player of the Year in college basketball again this year. A couple of days ago, passed Lynette Woodard for the all-time leading scoring charts, and now she's passed everybody. Pete Maravich had 2,600 points or 3,600 points. She's beyond that. She's at 3,685 and goes to the all-time. She's the all-time leader for both men and women in college basketball history. So no big problem for her today. 93-83, the win over Ohio State. Caitlin Clark is now moving on to the WNBA. I think she played at Iowa this year, made like $1 million, but I think it wasn't mostly from NIL. It wasn't from the collective. It was just State Farm going to her and saying, hey, would you be in our commercials? So I wonder if there's any risk there. I mean, in the WNBA, she'll still get commercials. Will she get the same number as college player? I don't know, because it's kind of cool, the story that she's had at Iowa. And if she stayed another year, she would be so far beyond anybody in basketball history that nobody would be able to catch her. So I would argue she should stay and wipe out the record to the point where nobody can catch her.
Well, and the funny thing is that she's going to make $1 million, maybe $1.5 million, $2 million tops, more than likely in endorsement deals, et cetera, whether she turns pro or not. But now she can make an extra $150,000 if she turns pro,
right?
Because the NIL situation at Iowa is not that awesome.
I just think it's a cooler college story than it is a pro story. I think part of what makes it special is that just everywhere she goes, she's a celebrity, but on the college level. I mean, Nebraska's biggest win this year on the women's side certainly was beating Caitlin Clark at home. And not only that, drawing a sold-out 6,300 or 16,000 people and 16,000 plus.
15, but yeah.
I think actually, is it 15?
No,
Okay.
15, yeah.
Okay. Well, pretty amazing.
Oh, just insane.
And Caitlin Clark did that. I mean, nobody else draws that kind of an audience in college basketball, except for maybe, college volleyball, Nebraska volleyball.
True. That's going to say, let me guess, Nebraska. The support is insane. Watching her like dissect a game too, if you ever just take the time to watch her play in any game, there's times that she knows she needs to take over. And there's times where it's almost like she's trying to like give some confidence to her teammates. She'll turn down a wide open three to get it to somebody else and the way she talks and the type of game she plays. And it's pretty cool to be able to watch somebody that's a once in a generation type player.
She's amazing. I don't always like her attitude. Maybe it's just the Iowa uniform that drives me crazy, which it always does. I don't like Iowa. And she can be kind of a smart aleck at times, but so can our own guy, Casey. We like him because he's on our team. And if you're an Iowa fan, I'm sure you love Caitlin Clark as Nebraska leads with 12 minutes left to go by 12, 49-37 in the second half. Just got to keep up the defense. That's the big thing here for Nebraska basketball.
Well, and not turn the ball over, which they just about did there.
Yeah.
I want to go back and see where we're at. What are we up to for turnover-wise here? 12 of them. So just 2 in the second half. Huskers have been out-rebounded, though, 9-5 in the second half.
There's Williams forcing a shot. And we had Bo Reed talk about that sometimes he needs to be a more aggressive and
he didn't say force the shot, but be more aggressive. And I think he was being that at that point, and maybe just took a step back three that was a little ill-advised. But I really don't have a huge problem with Bryce Williams taking that shot. He's just a good basketball player. But Nebraska's going to have to probably hit a few of those because Rutgers is making a run. They just trimmed it to 9 with a 3-point bomb.
Ooh, getting interesting.
Yeah. So I was a little worried that Nebraska hasn't put it away. But, I mean, Rutgers is tough to put away. They play great defense.
Yeah. I don't want to see a deja vu situation here, but we did knock on wood, too, just in case when we're talking to Sip at halftime.
CJ just hit a crazy 3. That's what Nebraska needs from CJ, because that was not a good shot. A step back 3 from CJ, but, he's playing at home and he feels good and he makes it.
So before today, in his last 7 games, CJ Wilcher's 3 of 26 from deep. And today, now 2 of 3 from behind the arc. So huge for Nebraska right there. I read an article, and I wanted to talk to Sip about this a little bit. But with the circumstances, him being at the game and kind of being limited to that halftime segment with him, he wrote an article about Tony White that I thought was unbelievably
I meant to
impressive.
ask him about that. I should have.
Same here.
We never got into the basketball conversation or football conversation. We stayed with basketball. I wanted to ask about Tony White as well, because they interviewed him at HuskerOnline.com, and he sits down. He goes, "Guys, I'm pissed.
Yeah,
I just looked at the film. We were really bad on third down." Nebraska, who had after terrible defenses year after year after year, pick a coach, sometimes under Pelini, sometimes Mike Riley, definitely all the time under Scott Frost. But they were really good in the first year of Matt Rule, and it was because of Tony White, 11th in the country in total defense. They were 13th in scoring defense. In a lot of different categories, they were really good. But the first thing that Tony White says to Steven Sipple is, "I'm mad because we were bad at third down defense."
And they were 45th, by the way, which would have been a high watermark for any of the prior 8 seasons.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah. I thought that was an excellent interview. I've enjoyed some of the stuff going on behind the scenes. Nebraska obviously does a really good job with some of these things that they do behind the scenes with the camera work and the interviews that they do.
Yeah.
Chasing 3 is the new documentary. It's about 45 minutes long, and talks about Nash Hutmacher and how, he's become a wrestler. He had to lose like 60 pounds within a couple of months, become a wrestler, change his diet. And most coaches will tell you, no, you're not going to become a wrestler. You're going to focus on football. I need to win 7 games so we can get to a bowl game. Instead, Matt Rule says, no, I'm all behind that. That's great. Go wrestle for Mark Manning and get really good. And not only that, we'll support you. We'll bring the whole coaching staff, the whole team to your matches.
Yeah, and side note, with that, Tyson Terry has been given the green light. He will be allowed to wrestle at Nebraska as well.
Yeah, and we're seeing other guys run track. There's a number of guys. Jalen Lloyd is running track. Jeremiah Charles is running track. There's a few others as well. And a lot of coaches, not every coach, but will say, you know what? I don't want you to get injured. Focus on football. And maybe Matt Rule will say that at times, but it doesn't sound like he's doing it anytime soon. I think he wants guys to come in, have a great college experience, and not to live in fear.
Well,
not to live in fear that they're going to get injured doing something else.
That it just comes down to, culture. It's something, you hear everybody talk about, and it's so dramatically changed. And you never question what the culture is at the University of Nebraska right now within that football program.
And it's happened pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, not quick enough, obviously, if it would have happened to the point where we could have won one more game.
Sometimes the culture changes before the scoreboard changes.
Last year, exactly, but I know a lot of people would have loved to have gotten the
from
culture
the
change from the scoreboard.
And that's one of the things he said in this documentary. It's called Chasing 3, because he says he wakes up every morning chasing 3 points because Nebraska lost 4 games by 3 points. They lost to Minnesota 13-10. They lost to Maryland 13-10. They lost to Iowa 13-10. All those games were tied with Nebraska had the ball, and Nebraska would throw an interception, and they did in each of those games. Michigan State was a little bit of different atmosphere. Nebraska had the ball last, but didn't capitalize there. They lost in overtime to Wisconsin, as we know, the 5th game that they could have won. That's 5-7 that could have been 10-2, because Wisconsin was an overtime game. Matt Rule's quote in this documentary says, "When I wake up in the morning, I'm chasing 3 points every single day. I love that. He says, I'm looking for guys who'd rather die than be 2 minutes late for a meeting. That's culture. He said, I'm looking for guys who'd rather die than lose. And I think he means it.
I do too. And to jump on top of that with the comment from Fred Hoiberg yesterday in the presser in the lead up to this game, he made the comment that this is the first time he can ever remember they have not had anyone late for a practice or a meeting all season. He's like, hell, my freshman year, I overslept. He goes, I couldn't even do it. No. And he goes, whether it's Iowa State or at Chicago, he never had a season where no one was ever late. And this team, that shows the buy-in that the team has as well. But that also shows the culture that they built realistically over the last 2 years.
Nebraska's culture is winning over Rutgers' culture right now. 52-42. Rutgers does score. It's now an 8-point game. So this could, unfortunately, go down to the wire. When the wire happens and when the game is over, there'll be a post-game show on the
There will. Bach's here.
Bach is already here watching the game. Nebraska needs to win, I think. But we'll think good thoughts. Nebraska will win and beat Rutgers. In the meantime,
Marcus Lawrence just turned it over again.
But then Rutgers turned it over. Josiah Alec almost getting a fight, and nothing happened. We're out. We'll be back next week doing a show with no Husker basketball game, I'm guessing, in the middle of it. Maybe people will watch it live. You can see the podcast, though. I think you'll enjoy that. Mike, we'll see you next Sunday.
Yep. Have a great week. See you.
Go Huskers. It's not over yet. Talk to you next week.
February is National Pet Dental Health Month. At Parkview Animal Hospital, their skilled doctors and staff can help identify and treat a wide range of dental issues. If your pet is showing signs of bad breath, abnormal chewing or drooling, reduced appetite, or refusal to eat, now is a great time to speak to a member of their team and help get your pet back on track to a healthy lifestyle. Call Parkview Animal Hospital today at 402-423-6939 to learn more about their discounts on dental cleanings, procedures, and hygiene products.
At Union Bank, people don't have your money. Your money has people. First home people, investment people, people who answer the phone and your chats, dream car people, dream retirement people, driving your dream car in your dream retirement people, small business people, credit card people, and all the other people you need. At Union Bank, our people help you do more than you dreamed possible. So stop in and say hello. We can't wait to see you. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Hey guys, Jake Sorensen here from Early Break. The garage door at our house has been needing replacement for a couple years, and a few months ago, we finally did something about it. Steve's Garage Doors and Services was great through the whole process in providing options and also going to the next level to get a door that was approved by our HOA. And best of all, the removal of the old door and installation of the new door was done smoothly with no issues. Call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today at 402-480-2840.
Hi, it's Tom and Mike from Husker Rewind. And did you know that people who are represented by an